Oh, it's okay, everybody. You're back once again. We're listening to the Entrepreneurial Web. I'm your host, Jeremiah Fox, with my guest, Andrew Suzuka, CEO. He's the sauce boss of Otamot, which is actually tomato spelled backwards, right?
It is. Yeah. I just figured if someone's going to come up with a silly name, we went through like 100 names. And
I bet deal with all the branding and stuff, right? And your connection to the marketing industry.
Overly, what does it mean? What are you trying to communicate? The whole like easels everywhere.
It's just fucking fun, man. It's just fun.
Yeah.
It reminds me of I worked for a guy, an Italian guy. His name is Tony Di Silvestro. He's from Jersey, and he got it started in the early 90s, which is when I started working for him as a team. And he's probably opened like 15 or so Italian restaurants up and down the East Coast. He's headquartered in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Virginia at this point. And his whole company is called Why Not Italian, and it's Tony backwards, Y-N-O-T, Italian. So when I saw that, I was like, yo, Tony would love this shit. And I haven't worked for him in 20 years, but we're still really
send me his address. We'll get him a care pack out there.
Oh my God, man, he would love it. He would love it. He's a crusher too, man. He's all about it. He's just like, he started young and just went after it. And his energy, you remind me a lot of him. You guys have the same kind of relentless energy. Yeah. So why don't you talk about what are the big things that are happening with Otamot now? You've had some really great stuff come down the pipe lately. You're launching with Whole Foods. You've gone national at this point, right? You're about to send a lot of sauce out to people, right? You can make the gravy, right, for the macaroni?
Right. Yeah, I mean, we are regional to be technical. We're regional now, but in June we do go national with Whole Foods. Yeah. We're national with Unify, which is our core, our key distributor. Right. Which means we go active in 20 distribution centers, and if someone in Key West wants our sauce, they can get it. If someone in La Jolla wants it, if someone in Seattle, Washington, meaning stores want it, they can get our sauce starting in May, June. Because once you go, the key thing with going national with Whole Foods and why it's a big deal, and it was really interesting because usually they'll test you regionally. They just took us nationally off the jump, and we launched last March. We really launched in September. That's when we switched to fully organic, right? So it's like, it's definitely still a mind trip. So when you go national with Whole Foods, it means you have to be in all the DCs around the United States, right? Through Unify, their distributor, which means you then that becomes your spider web into every store that wants you, right? So it becomes really interesting. So yeah, we have that going on. We're in some final talks with Amazon Prime right now, who took us into a special, food program incubator thing. So I'm psyched for that because we'll send single jars on Amazon Prime and 6-packs. So it'll be crush. We have Kroger's we're talking to. We just launched in Fresh Time Market. There are a lot of different things. We also have non-sauce products, meaning food products.
I was gonna ask you about that too.
Yeah. We can't say too much about it. Maybe save that for the podcast.
But I just imagine you would have something else on the back burner.
This is the thing with Otamot is that we're not a tomato sauce company. On the surface, to most consumers, we are. But those stripes and the stripes that we're doing there, I mean, that's the brand. We're building a brand here. We're not building a tomato sauce company, right? And so that's the big play. I mean, people can go in and say, I want to make a cookie company. If you want to make a cookie company, you could be Tate's great. Go ahead. You'll sell for a few $100 million. But like, I'm building a brand that's really focused on improving the nutritional content of everyday foods. I'm building a brand that my family can live on, not monetarily, they can actually eat and live on.
Right.
And so as long as it's coming from that place, then you can do, there's so much you can do. I can look on the shelf and just be like, that sucks. Why isn't there another one of those? Or this sucks. Or why do I have to send my daughter with this every day? Like, really? And now, so that's big when it becomes really fun. Like I'll definitely bring it over to you, give me like another few weeks. We're going to have round 2 of the prototypes of this stuff. I mean, crush food that's going to come out. And I'm excited for that. Like, I think what we're coming out after the sauce, like the next SKU is going to crush a sauce. Yeah. Like and it's not even sauce. And it needs to be redone. Just some things have to be redone. Something,
everybody's getting their chance right now.
Yeah. So it's
good. Are you familiar with Simon Sinek?
No. What is that?
You should check him out. He's like a business personality, does keynote speeches, and the author. He did this really great TED talk. It's got to be 10 years ago now, but a friend of mine sent it to me. I wasn't familiar with him, but just recently someone turned him on to me. And he talks about that, like identifying yourself as a business. And like, he constantly is saying, know your why. Like, that's what you're selling. You're not selling your product. You know, profit is not your motivation. It's like, what's deeper? And he breaks it down in these 3 levels, and you just really like laid it out. You just said it. So it's interesting that you're not familiar with him. If you listen to him, you'd be like, I know exactly what you're talking about. But that's, and I say the same thing for me. Like you might look at me and be like, oh, that guy sells food. That guy sells beverage. That's just like the shirt. That's just the hood ornament. It's the experience. It's the connection. To the community, and it goes much deeper than that. It's fascinating you realize that.
Yeah, and the I think the challenge that we're going to have next, right? Because there's always something new, and there is, right? It's like it becomes planning your inventory and making sure that you can always deliver. Like, maybe Whole Foods is going to need like 3 times what we thought they were going to need. Right. And I need to be able to get those to them. I need to get that to them within a couple of weeks. But my factory also needs lead time, right? Yeah. So there's a what you sign up for with your distributors and how long it takes you to actually make it. When I put a purchase order in with my factory, it doesn't always line up. So it's like you have to. So what do you have to do? You have to stack the war chest. So you have to. So next week we have a giant run, the biggest of my life. And I'm already thinking through the marketing side of me. Well, how can I make this fun and cool? So there's a couple things where we'll take some drones, and we're literally making over like hundreds of pallets of sauce. Crazy, right? Yeah. So like the endless miles and miles of sauce. It's nuts. So like doing some cool stuff, turning that into some content. We'll put a GoPro on actually one of the jars, so a little.
That's dope.
I'm like, why don't we I want to be a jar. What does it look like to go through the whole thing? And so it's like, all right, let's do it. So we're working on that right now. And like, you got to bring people into it, right? And then you got to, and that's the fun side of it. Then you have, of course, the business side of it, which is like your marketing, your influencer campaigns, your this, your that, your press, like everything takes time, takes money, takes thought, and you just want to make sure you're nailing it. And how do you measure it too? All these investments that we're about to make, like we're going hard with this national launch. And it's not like put you on the shelf and you win. No, putting you on the shelf is like, that's a given. You have to be on the shelf for it to be anywhere. People will buy it. But then it's like, why are they going to pick it out? They don't know. It's a funny looking jar. Like, I never saw that. Why am I going to spend $7, $6.99? Right. So it's like the marketing becomes so key because you can make great stuff. But if people don't know about it, if people don't know why you're different, if I don't have a chance to tell people my story one-on-one, which I don't, like it's like they're walking by. I don't know 1.99% of the people that buy it, then, and that's why QVC is really interesting because you really get to tell your story for a few minutes and everything. But that's not, that's just the short-term play. The long-term play is the retail, is the Amazon, Prime. And it's like, how do you communicate and get people to really fall in love with your brand? And then when they do, then it's on, right? Then they're like, this is my new sauce. Where have you been my whole life? Kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes, I read like these comments and I'm like, holy crap. What's kind of funny? I still, on this phone, I will get calls like randomly, and I pick it up and I'm like, hey, it's Andrew. And they're like, oh, is this Otamot Foods? I'm like, oh yes. This, right. And it's like, I changed the number yesterday. It's like you went to GoDaddy and do this thing where you can have 2 phones and whatever. Yeah. I could see but before that, it was like, I don't know. Someone's like, I bought this on QVC and how do you use it? And I'm like, what do you mean? It's, I didn't say it like that, but in my head, I'm just like, like, what are you talking about?
It's gravy from macaroni.
But it's a lot of just figuring everything from like, how do you get a new business line without, but you still be accessible to your production, to your marketing, to what's your next SKU. Like I'm already on to the next one. You have to always be on to the next one. To compare your current one, So
which is hard right now. Cause it's just like, we've all been thrown up in the air and we're like floating. But there's some liberation to that. I'm trying to find the liberties in all of it. And that's where, you know, that extra headspace I think it's going to come from.
Yeah, just to have some fun, you know, because there's kind of no right or wrong, and it's like, and what's your thing, and you have people that believe in you, you know, then you and even if they don't, it doesn't matter. Like you just go out and you crush it. And
just do it.
Right.
Yeah. So. All right. Well, we got to wrap it up, man. Thank you so much. Your energy is such an inspiration. I hope those of you that are listening and watching.
That's on 2 hours. That's on 2 hours of sleep. So
I'm not shocked. I'm not shocked by you at all, man. We'll have to do this again. Hopefully I'll see you around the neighborhood. Good luck with everything, man.
Thanks,
everybody.
Jeremiah.
Have an awesome weekend. You're listening to Entrepreneurial Web. Peace.